Hey guys, Chelsea here from Making Manzanita, and today we are going to do a video on the difference between polyurethane and polycrylic and when you should use both, because it can be kind of confusing. So these are kind of the different products I'm going to talk through. Let's get started. All right, so polyurethane and polycrylic are two of the most common sealers that are used for woodworking and painting projects. And these two products are really similar in name, but the differences in where you use them and how you use them can be super confusing to many beginners. So that's why we're doing this video. I'm going to walk you through the difference between the two so you can decide what's best for your next project. All right, so one of the most common misconceptions about woodworking is the finish. You may think that, okay, the wood's been painted, it's been stained, and I'm leaving the project indoors instead of outdoors, so I can skip the sealing, right? The problem is that leaving either painted or stained wood unprotected from the natural elements and general wear and tear is no bueno. So remember that wood is a porous material, and anything that gets on it gets stuck in it. So that's when the right sealer definitely comes in handy for your projects. So polyurethane and polycrylic are two of the most common ones, and there's a few different options for each, and each of them have unique jobs. So I'm going to be really focused on three different types of sealers in today's video. The first two are polyurethane and a oil-based versus a water-based polyurethane, and then polycrylic. All right, so let's start with the strongest option, and that is going to be oil-based polyurethane, and that's what I have right here. When it comes to durability, and that's your main focus, your oil-based polyurethane is very strong. It's a good choice for hardwood floors, tabletops, cabinets that are gonna get wear and tear, and indoor and outdoor furniture, anything that's gonna get a lot of traffic. Because it's oil-based, it's more tolerant to moisture, and it can tolerate high heat or sunshine or hot objects. So you want to keep in mind that your oil-based poly is going to leave behind a yellowish or kind of an amber tint, and that can develop into more amber as project ages. So you definitely want to steer clear from using any oil-based polyurethane on light painted finishes or a light wood. So anything that's not dark enough to see that yellow cast, you want to steer clear from this product. So for applying it, you have the option to either spray it, brush it on, wipe it on, or roll it on. So if you're using a brush to put it on, one thing to keep in mind is that the brush needs to be made to work with oil-based material because it's an oil-based polyurethane. That means it needs to have natural fiber bristles. So that's what you want to look for when you're buying brushes. And these brushes are generally more expensive. And that's because their performance is better, but it means that they're more durable. So they're usually going to last longer. So that's good. Foam brushes can also be used if you're in a pinch. And because they are so cheap, you're really probably not gonna find that the finish is gonna be as smooth, and they're usually gonna bend and break very easily and quickly. So we don't use these a lot, but sometimes when we need it and we don't wanna go to the store, we will. To make it more durable, what we usually do is we take a paint rag. These are just cotton paint rags. We buy these in bulk, and you wrap it around the foam, and then you can either hold it in place or you can use like a little clip to clip it in place around the top here. So that works, and it makes the foam brush a little more durable. So polyurethane can also be rolled on with a paint roller. We typically don't do this, but if you wanted to do this, you want to make sure that you're using a dense foam roller for that, and it would say that on the package. That's going to give you your best finish for the polyurethane. So one other thing to keep in mind when you're working with polyurethane oil-based is it's really strong odor, and it can irritate your nose and your lungs. So protective gear is necessary. So something like a good respirator like this will definitely come in handy, and then you should always apply it outdoors or in a really well ventilated area. So like if you're in your garage, put the garage door open while you're working with it. So since it's an oil-based product, it does need to be cleaned with a lacquer thinner, paint thinner, or mineral spirits, and that's gonna look something like this. You cannot just use soap and water. So anytime you're using oil-based products, like an oil-based paint, polyurethane, an oil stain, like a wood stain, it's really important to properly dispose of your rags. You can't just ball them up when you're done and throw them in the trash because they may spontaneously combust. Yikes! So the best way to handle this, it's recommended that you soak the rags in water immediately after you're done using them, or you can put them in an airtight metal container, something with a lid, and then after they have soaked, you can then allow them to dry thoroughly. Just spread them out on flat ground or a metal rack, and once they've dried for like 2 full days, that should be plenty. It may take longer to dry if it's raining or if there's a lot of humidity in your air, but once they are completely dry, then they are safe to dispose of in the trash. So just something to keep in mind with oil-based poly. So next we're going to move on to water-based polyurethane, and it's a little bit different. It's another type of polyurethane, but it's water-based instead of oil. So water-based polyurethane is going to dry much faster than oil-based, but it is not as resistant to high heat or water and moisture. So it's great for items that aren't going to get a lot of wear and tear or be exposed to extreme temperature and water. So what comes to mind are like picture frames, picture ledges, floating shelves in your home, benches, any type of furniture that's not going to get really heavy wear and tear, and is going to be indoors. So it does have less VOCs, so it's not as hard on your lungs and your nose as the oil-based is. And because it's fast drying, you can usually apply more coats in less time than you can with the oil-based option. So water-based polyurethane will dry clear, so unlike the oil-based. So it's safe to use over light woods like maple, and you don't have to worry about it yellowing over time. However, in some cases, I've found that it can become sort of cloudy when you're applying it over a dark finish. So if you're using like a dark wood finish, I wouldn't really recommend it. When it comes time to clean up, water-based polyurethane can be cleaned from brushes with just simple like dish soap and warm water. So that's a big difference when you're comparing the oil-based, which needs mineral spirits to clean. Water-based is a little easier when it comes to that. And the last sealer that we're going to talk about today, which is one of my favorites, is polycrylic. So this is a water-based product. It's far less odorous. It's not bad on your nose and lungs like polyurethane is. And it's also less tolerant of high heat when compared to like an oil-based polyurethane. Because it's water-based, it's going to dry really quickly, but it usually requires a longer curing time before use. So when you're working with polycrylic, you want to just be sure you have plenty of time for it to dry and cure before using it. Really, like the slightest ding or nick can dent that clear coat. So you want to make sure it has time to cure. So it is not meant to be as durable as the other options, but it is great for interior applications like cabinets, furniture, trim, anything light painted, like with a white chalk paint. It's not good for floors or things that are going to get a lot of wear and tear because it's not as durable. So for appearance, the best thing about polycrylic is that it leaves no trace at all. So it dries completely clear. It's not going to change the appearance of your light wood if you're leaving it unstained, like a maple or birch, or anything that you paint white or a light color. So it's an option that is not, again, not recommended to go over dark colored paints, like if you paint something a dark color, or like a mahogany or a dark wood stain, because just like the water-based polyurethane, it can become milky and kind of opaque. So you really want to keep it only on light things. When you are applying water-based products like the polyurethane, water-based polyurethane, and polycrylic, it is recommended to use brushes not with natural fibers like you did with the oil, but with synthetic fibers. So you want to look for something made with usually nylon or polyester. And these type of bristles aren't going to absorb the water like the natural ones will. So keep that in mind if you're going to brush it on. The consistency of polycrylic is much runnier than polyurethane, so it's hard to get an even finish over a big surface area, and because it dries so quickly. So it usually is going to require more coats than a polyurethane because it is a thinner product. But polycrylic does not have a strong odor and it's much less toxic. So your respiratory protection, like that big ventilator mask, it's not 100% necessary, but you should still work in a well-ventilated area or outdoors when you're applying the polycrylic, if you can. So much like water-based polycrylic can be cleaned from your brushes using just warm soapy water, which is a definite pro in my opinion. When it comes to go buy your sealant, you want to keep in mind that all of these options are going to come in a variety of sheens, and that's usually going to range 2 to 4. So from something really, really glossy to something flat or matte. So several of the brands that we see offer some of these in an aerosol can, which makes it pretty easy to apply. However, using this, you're going to have to use more coats when you're doing a spray because the application is a little lighter. One option that I love and use really frequently is this wipe-on format. And this is a water-based polyurethane, and you can wipe it on with a cloth. So you don't have to worry about drips or brush marks, and it gives that easy water cleanup. But it is thinner than traditional polyurethane. But I find that the ease of use is well worth needing an extra coat or two because I can just wipe it on and not worry about the finish much. So in today's video, we cover the 3 most popular clear sealants for wood, but they're definitely more than just this. So over on our website, makingmanzanita.com, I have provided a longer list of other sealant alternatives if you're looking for a clear finish, because there are a lot of options. So if you're interested in learning more about those, like oils, like teak oil and linseed oil, and other finishes like shellac and lacquer, which we use a lot, you want to hop on over to that article, and I linked it in the description. All right, if you're still with me, you're probably wondering, well, which is better, polyurethane or polycrylic? So to sum it up, polyurethane is better for durability, but polycrylic is better for light wood and light painted furniture and cabinets because it's not going to yellow on your surface. All right, that sums it up. I hope you guys feel more confident when you go buy your clear sealer next time for your next woodworking or painted project. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to let us know. We would love for you to subscribe to our channel while you're here. We share weekly DIY and renovating tutorials. So if you subscribe and then turn your notifications on, you won't miss the next one. And then hop on over to this video next, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next week.